Hopefully you was able to watch this episode. This episode kind of blew me away. The last 5 seconds blew me away. There is so much to talk about. I'm gonna give you guys a recap review. Basically, there was a little mishap with my last video because I did a recap review and they thought it was spoiler free. And I thought to myself, okay, well, how can you do a recap review on an episode that's spoiler free? I mean, how can you do that? I mean, what am I going to be talking about? But that's spoiler territory, so there's not much ground I can cover there. Of course, when I do a recap review, it's going to be spoiler territory. I'm going into spoilers. I noted that when a recap review, basically a recap is basically me retelling all the events that happened in the episode that happened. So it's going to be in spoiler territory, so I don't have to put or drop the word spoiler. So if you haven't watched the last episode, I recommend watch the last episode and then come back to this spoiler-filled review, recap, and let's go into it. Basically, in this episode, they answered 3 questions, and these reveals were huge, especially one for Android Voight, which I will have to talk about first before I get into the main things in particular. 7 episodes in, I have to say I do like the story itself. I do like the way it's progressing. Now, there were a few issues I have with the story, with the season itself, and that primarily has to do with Adrian Voight. And basically, at this point, 7 episodes in, there should be a tie-in with the overarching narrative of the season. And his arc doesn't really have... It's not really connected to the narrative. Basically, Adrian Voight's in court, and we see the other clones around him. Basically, he's in court for all of his crimes that he did to the other clones. He's been doing odd experiments. There are some theories I thought he was going to be like, he was trying to create like another Dr. Manhattan with his clones. But no, he was just trying to, I guess, escape from himself, because it seems like that his clones are pretty much manifestations of his mind or his guilt. So pretty much he's, for what he's done in the past, he's feeling a little bit of remorse, a little bit of guilt, and he has put himself in exile. And if you, after thinking about everything that transpired, it's pretty much an older man who's just brooding for his actions that happened back in 1986. So other than that, that's fine. That's a good character arc, but still, it's not connecting with the narrative, so it's kind of a subplot at this point. Later on in the episode, Laurie Blake was talking to Jane. He's trying to question whether or not what certain information revolving around her husband, Judd Crawford, because she just now got the information that Judd Crawford was working with the 7th Cavalry. Then it turns out that Jane was actually a member of the Cyclops, because Laurie Blake was trying to talk to her about the Cyclops and see what are connections to Judd Crawford. And in that moment right there, I thought that she should have been smarter in that scene. I felt like she should have had like backup on the side, or should have brought in her radio. And then Jane like clicked the button and then sent Laurie Blake down into the ground and underneath her house, basically knocking Laurie Blake out unconscious, and they took her body and took her to the base facility of the 7th Cavalry, and therefore she met Sander Keene, the leader of the 7th Cavalry, and we learn more about the plot details and what direction this season is going. Sander Keene, it seems like in the beginning of his character arc, he was just a young boy, young kid, just trying to become the president, but now there is more to his story. There's been some theories revolving around his character saying that he was trying to manipulate the 7th Cavalry and manipulate the police force just for him to get a good candidacy to confront Robert Redford in the presidential election. But that was just small potatoes, because his main plot was to find Dr. Manhattan and kill him, and then use the powers to manifest into a new Dr. Manhattan. More likely, Sander Keene himself will become the new Dr. Manhattan, and that is his plan, and he gave it to Laurie Blake, and I'm just like, wow. And how will the 7th Cavalry is going to do that? Because Dr. Manhattan is an omnipotent being. He has procognitive senses, so so basically he knows when you're coming. He's essentially God. Now, you cannot kill a god, but like Luthor said,
there comes a time when even gods must die.
Now, this could possibly work only if the 7th Cavalry had an intrinsic fuel generator that was used to create Dr. Manhattan back in the graphic novel. Now that they had that kind of technology, well, oh no, Jack. Oh no, because then definitely we're all fucked. Angela Abar is still going through the complications of the nostalgia pills. We learn more of her information that she was connected to the elephant. That was some weird shit. Like, just seeing her reaction to the elephant was like the same reaction I had when I saw like the horseman drop up in the Sorry to Bother You. That was like, I was literally messed up when I saw that. I know Angela was too. And then Lady Trio comes in, and then I like the lighting for that scene. When Lady Trio came in, you know, her eyes was in a dark shadow. Then Lady Trio was trying to talk to Angela Abar and asked her to team up. She reveals to Angela Abar the 7th Cavalry's true plot and true motive. And then she was basically revealed to Angela Abar and revealed to us that Dr. Manhattan is in human form and is living amongst people. And then Angela Abar's reaction, she just left. And I'm just like, that's a big deal. That is a big deal. And I feel like Lady Trio had like the audience's reaction when she told Angela Abar, was like, hey, did you not hear what I said? I said Dr. Manhattan is living amongst his people, and yet you're not excited for it. You don't want to know? And Angela Abar was like, do I give a shit? Then later on, Lady Angela Abar returns to the house, and then we find out that her boyfriend, Cal, was actually Dr. Manhattan. So now we get a huge understanding of what is going on. And another question that comes to my mind was, how in the hell Dr. Manhattan was able to get with Angela Abar, and how they were able to get together. The episode was really good. I do like the few scene transitions. One of my favorite scene transitions was when they had like Angela Abar's face on screen, like her silhouette, the silhouette of her face, and then it transitions into like the windows of a church, and her eyes was stylistic. You can see like the stars in her eyes that slowly transitions into the windows of the church. That was a really good transition. It sort of remind me of like the Shining Gun, Miyakio Shining Gun. Sorry, I'm just spreading out nerd shit. So this episode was directed pretty well, and also I do like the performances. I did like the shocking reveals. It gets me hyped for what's to come in these last 2 episodes of the season. What does the Millennium Clock do? And what's her connections with Adrian Voight? They said that she had a seed of his knowledge, so hopefully we can get another reveal there. And also, where is Looking Glass? He's nowhere to be found. He's not dead, so that's a good thing. But is he injured somewhere? Where is he at? We don't know. So that's my recap review of episode 7. There's a lot of things to cover. Hopefully I covered everything. I pretty much covered the 3 major things in this great episode. So what are your thoughts of episode 7? Comment below. Let's talk about it, and I'll see you guys in the next review. And then again, if you like everything you see and you agree, subscribe to my channel and join me in the Batman family. I'll have more Batman-tastic reviews in a way. You have been warned. Till then, ciao.